Man, it's time to pay the piper. 3-game losing streak, 5 turnovers in the game. Cowboys on our tail. Super Bowl chances over? Do we need a new quarterback? Let's talk about it. Welcome in and welcome back to the Down South Philly show, brought to you by Sports Lounge Media. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Share this live out. How y'all feeling today? It's a Tuesday. I normally say it's a happy Tuesday, but it's a Tuesday. Unfortunately, we gotta talk about a 3-game losing streak. Um, if you missed the game somehow and didn't tune in on primetime sports, the Eagles lost to the Chargers last night in embarrassing fashion. Um, 4 picks, I think it was like 5 total turnovers. Um, Easily Hurts' worst game of the season. Um, Defense looked good though. Defense looked good. Um, we just couldn't get it done. And to make matters worse, when you think about the fact that Justin Herbert had a broken hand, um, you just can't lose that game. You can't lose that game. The only thing that takes a little bit of the sting off is the fact that the Cowboys lost this week too. So it didn't hurt us a ton. I think our chances for the 1 seed are cooked. I don't think you're getting the 1 seed. Um, see Bagel. Bagel said, I'm sorry. I hate to see y'all going through. Hey man, this is a part of the game. Daniel Berry, what's up? What's up, Daniel Berry? Very bad game. Yeah, that's an understatement. You said a mouthful on that one. Um, so let's talk about this game. So how it started out, more of the same on offense. Wasn't a terrible game at the start of it. We moved the ball, stalled out, um, just kicked a bunch of field goals. One constant, if we got to go with any positives on the offensive side of the ball, we have figured out how we want to use AJ Brown. This is the 3rd game where he's had, you know, a really good game. Another plus is that Saquon was able to get going even before he broke the lone touchdown of the night down the sideline. He had a really good night on the ground. So let's see what Bagel said. To go from Super Bowl champs to this is tough. I didn't watch a lot of games because right now I'm angry with football, but I'm praying y'all pick it back up. Hey, I appreciate that, Bagel, but this just comes with it. This part of the territory. It's very hard to not only win a Super Bowl, but to repeat as champions. Very few teams do it. It's only been 2 dynasties in the past 30 years. Maybe 3 if you want to count the Cowboys in the 90s. But we got the 90s Cowboys, we got the Patriots, and then the Chiefs in the current dynasty. So it's very hard to win a Super Bowl, but it's even harder to repeat. So, this is just some of the things that you see year in and year out when you don't have the pieces that those teams have. So when you talk about dynasties, when you think back to, I can't speak for the Cowboys because that was a little, That's 30 years ago. But when I think about the Patriots have always had they've had what? Tom Brady, they had Bill Belichick, and they always had a competent offensive coordinator, usually Josh McDaniel, um, that kinda provided that continuity on the offensive side of the ball. So every year, it's no surprise outside of when we had Sugar Shane Steichen for 2 years. Hurts has had to deal with a new coordinator, which means that a new offense has to be implemented in the offseason. That's incredibly difficult to do on a year in and year out basis. It's not really something that you really ever get used to. It just kind of is what it is with the type of success that we see on a yearly basis. Our coaches just get poached. Um, Now I say that Kevin Patullo. So when we talk about Kevin Patullo, let's get into this game before we get into breaking down what the season is looking like, and where we go from here. So when we talk about the game itself, we got to get into the stats. So in that game, Hurts went 21 for 40, 240 yards, no touchdowns, 4 picks, sacked one time with a QB rating of 31.3. And then I believe it was also a fumble in there where he threw a pick, they fumbled the ball, he picked it up, he fumbled the ball. So um, I don't know if that counts as a, a interception and a fumble, but just the kind of game we had. I mentioned that Barkley had a good game. He had 20 rushes, 122 yards, one touchdown. Had the long 52-yard touchdown. That was a glimpse of what we saw last year from Saquon, right? That was 2K say. Um, I would argue that he's been that the entire time. It's just, when you combine the fact that offensive line play hasn't been great, um, offensive coordinator hasn't really been great either, and we're not running the ball with Hurts like we were last year. So all of those things kind of combine for a bad showing, and it's kind of I'm basically saying that it's more than one thing that you can point to why Saquon isn't having nearly the season that he had last year. But I don't think it's because he's missing a step. I don't think it's because he has too much wear and tear. He still has the burst. He just hasn't had the opportunities that he had last year. When he gets the ball now, he's met in the backfield versus last year. Most of his runs, he doesn't get touched until the second and third level. And if you let Saquon get to the second and third level untouched, he's gone. He proved it. So that just goes to show you that it's not that the players that we have suddenly forgot how to play football at the highest level. It really just comes down to a microcosm of the whole offense being bad collectively. Bagel says Jalen's so good that he can throw a pick and fumble in the same play. That's one way to look at it. Um, but yeah, well, when we talk about this game in particular, like I said, Barkley had a great game. AJ had 6 receptions for 100 yards, no touchdowns. Goddard had a good night, 8 catches for 78 yards. He's easily having his best season so far as a pro. Smitty had a quiet night, 4 catches for 37 yards. Um, when we talk about what the Chargers were able to do offensively, it wasn't like Herbert had was killing it. He went 12 for 26, 139 yards, one touchdown, an interception, and he was sacked 7 times. So defense did their job. Defense kept that game That was a very winnable game last night. If we don't turn the ball over, we win that game. Simple. If we don't turn the ball over 5 times, we win that game. If we turn the ball, if we stop at 4 turnovers and are able to score on that overtime possession, the last overtime possession, we win that game. So we had our opportunities to win the game. Offense just continues to be the Achilles heel of this team. Now, although it wasn't great when we first started the season, it wasn't what it's been since the bye week. We've actually gotten worse. Um, didn't think that that would be a possibility, but here we are. We on week 3. Um, Nick Sirianni has been more active, if you will, with this offense. And I like the play call. I like some of the play calls. As a matter of fact, the touchdown that we scored on the fake tush push was some of the things that we should have been doing sooner. I like getting Hurts out of the pocket, getting them to roll out. I love us throwing to the flat, getting the tight ends involved, throwing across the middle. So there were some good things. Even in another loss, it was some good things that we could take away from this game. We found the pass rush, 7 sacks without Jalen Carter, I might add. Um, hey man, how about a Dory Jackson with a pick? As much flack as we given the cornerback to this year, he came up with a big play. Now it was a lollipop, it was a gimme, but you know, you didn't have to catch it. He did. He caught it. So shouts out to Adoree Jackson for that. Um, Defense kept us in this game the entire night. As a matter of fact, even in overtime, didn't I mean at that point the dam kind of broke. You can't expect to continually keep a team down, keep a team down. So we should have won that game in regulation. We could have won that game in regulation. We also could have won it in overtime, but we didn't. Um, so where does this leave us? So obviously we dropped to 8-5 on the season. Um, I think unless something crazy happens, we can pretty much kiss the 1 seed goodbye. Now, the Rams do have 2 tough games. They play the Lions, they play Seattle, and then their schedule lightens up. So, there's always that hope. The Bears have a tough schedule down the stretch. I think they got the Lions or the Packers, one of the 2, but they have a tough stretch coming up. It's only 4 games for everybody. Everybody is in the last quarter of the season. And everybody's hoping to go 4-0. So if we can go 4-0, as bad as it looks, we can end up being what? Is that 12-5? Yeah, we can end up being 12-5, winning the division, and 12-5 will probably get us either a 2 or 3 seed, or if things get really crazy, a 1 seed. Um, which, considering how the season is gone, that's pretty much the best that you could hope for at this juncture. So, as Bagel said earlier, yes, we did win the Super Bowl last year. That season is over with. I think a lot of people want to compare the 2023 season to the current season that we're in, and it's easy. I think that's a lazy take. It's easy to kind of draw. mm, I got to say there are some similarities, of course, where we start off seemingly hot, kind of taper off toward the middle, and ultimately collapse. One, the season isn't over. We got 4 games left. So, two, I think the main reason in 23 that we were unsuccessful was the fact that our defense was bad. We had a new coordinator. We lost a few key pieces on the back end, and that linebacker that obviously left some holes in the defense that we just couldn't fix. Um, Offense wasn't great, but our offense, we give Brian Johnson gets a lot of flack, but Brian Johnson never looked anywhere near what Brian Johnson's offense never looked anything like what Kevin Patullo's offense has looked like through 14 weeks of the season. So, as a matter of fact, at one point, Jalen Hurts was in the MVP discussion in Brian Johnson's offense. So, there's that. But the main thing this year is offense. Offense is our Achilles heel. In 2023, we had two new coordinators. We had a new offensive coordinator and a new defensive coordinator. This year, we're bringing back Vic Fangio for year two. So he has, his scheme. The guys are familiar with his scheme. Year number two of perfecting that scheme. And I would say for the most part, defense has been the one bright spot this year. Outside of a couple games, you know, no defense is perfect, but outside of a couple games here and there, defense has pretty much been everything that we thought it would be coming into the year, and even better, because we never really addressed the cornerback two position. So for us to be able to, I don't think we've really lost a game because we didn't have a top tier cornerback too. Adoree Jackson and Keely Ringo haven't been the main reason why we've lost many games, and that's impressive to say. So we've gotten stellar linebacker play. Um, Now we found a pass rush, which allows the back end to move freely. They The communication on the back end is top tier, and that continues to be seen week in and week out. You know what you're getting from Q, you know what you're getting from Coop, you know what you're getting from Ed Reed Blankenship. Obviously, losing Makuba, our rookie safety, was a huge loss, but Marcus Epps did fine. He did fine. So hopefully he can stay healthy for us to be able to, do something down the stretch in this last quarter of the season. Bagel says, I believe we just need a better O line. So our O line, I can't even. It's hard to evaluate our O line because they've been hurt all season, all year. Honestly, if they would have done what I wanted them to do, from an offensive line standpoint, they would have. You finished? Oh man, me give me 1 second. Thank you. Have a good night. I'm gotta finish the show. She called me, but I don't guess she in here. Oh, he did? Like call me on the phone? No, like just called you. All right. Sorry about that. All right, so let's see what Bagel said. Bagel said Saquon can't get anywhere and Hurts is running too much. So here's my thing about that, Bagel. Um, Offensive line is getting beat so quickly off the ball that it's kind of not leaving Hurts with a lot of options. Now, have there been times where he's had plenty of time? Absolutely. It's been times. It's been times where he's had time, and there's nobody open downfield. It's been times where he's just straight up missed the route. It's been times where he's had the time and either he overthrew the receivers or the receivers are loafing or they just straight up dropped the ball. It's just really a microcosm of a bad offense because it seems like every time we take one step forward, we take two steps back. We get a big play down the field, it gets called back for a holding penalty. We get a big play down the field, and we get called for illegal formation. Um, not making excuses for, and not saying that it's the referees that are holding us back. No, because most of the calls are, they are penalties, they're fouls. It's just you can't just blame like one part of it for why the offense isn't clicking on all cylinders. Now, while it does suck to lose yet another game, 3 games in a row, we're still in good shape when it comes to the playoff picture. We're still in at the front of the division. Still holding out hope for the offense to do anything to, get us the win. But I will say that I've seen some good things out of this offense. I didn't think that we would see AJ be acclimated into the offense like we have. Um, it's good. Like I said earlier, it was good to see Saquon finally get going again. It was starting to seem like it was never going to happen. So, and Goddard has been a constant all year long. Smitty has been a constant all year long. We have the weapons on this team to be really good. We just need to figure out how to implement it. We gave KP the keys to a Ferrari, but he doesn't know how to drive a stick. That's just the nuts and bolts of that one. So as I think about, yes, this game sucks. The positive parts of it is I saw some good things on offense. Running game got going. Offensive line was better, especially run blocking. Um, and defensive line, which wasn't really an issue, but the pass rush got going in a major way. You don't get 7 sacks on accident. Now, with that being said, that's exactly how it should look when the Chargers have 3 and 4 offensive linemen out in the game. So, still, I take it because when you have games like that, that kind of gives you that spark, that gives you that confidence to keep it going down the stretch. We normally are a streaky rushing team defensively. we always start out kind of slow when it comes to sacks, but then we always tend to have a game in there where we get a lot of them in bunches, and then we kind of just take off. So this is that game. This could possibly be that game where we started off slow, ended up getting 7 sacks, and hopefully not 7 sacks, but maybe we can start stringing together 4 sacks a game, 2, 3 sacks a game, down the stretch in the last quarter of the season going into the playoffs. This is not a scary NFC race. We really just need to get our stuff together before the playoffs start. Now we got the Raiders coming to Philly. We got the Commanders twice, and then we got to go to Buffalo. So we got down the stretch. We have to go no worse than 3-1. If we can go 3-1, 4-0, um, or I should say, if we can go 3-1 or better, we'll be in good shape. I don't think that'll be good enough to win the 1 seed, but it'll be good enough to get a 2 or 3, and of course win the division. So from that regard, it's not all doom and gloom. I know that you have a certain portion of Philly fans that want to fire KP, and rightfully so. I'm not there. You got a certain part of the fan base that wants to bench Hurts, which is ridiculous. Yes, he did have a bad game, but and the worst game of the season. But now I think there's a lot of blame to go around. Because when you think about, all right, let's go back to the very last play of the game in overtime where Hurts throws the pick. That was a amazing play by the defensive back. It looks like he was in a cover two. He just kept his eyes on Hurts, and as soon as Hurts threw the ball, he jumped back. So he basically was covering two zones at one time. Amazing play. See what Bagel said. Bitching Hurts is the worst idea I've ever heard. Thank you. That is the worst idea. You don't you don't bench your best chance to not only make it to the playoffs, but your best chance to make it through the playoff race. He's not top 5 quarterback. You're getting what's expected, maybe a little less. No, he's still a top 5 quarterback in my opinion. Definitely getting less in production, but you can just say that about a lot of positions on the football field. Saquon's not having. I believe that Saquon is a top 3, top 2 running back in the league, but he's not having that kind of production. I believe that AJ Brown is a top 2, top 3 wide receiver in the league, but he's not having that type of production or that type of season. It's just been a bad season for the whole offense, but I don't think you can allow that to dictate how you rank a player overall. Um, when you think about Mahomes, he's widely considered one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback in the league that's still playing right now. But he's having a bad season, and he's definitely had um, a few bad games this year, and this team might not even make the playoffs. But at the end of the day, he's still, like I said, one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback in the league. Just having an off year, brother. He's not top 5. I mean, we can agree to disagree on that one. Let's see. Yes, he won a Super Bowl, but if y'all didn't have Saquon, you wouldn't have won. You can't say that because we made it to a Super Bowl without Saquon. And in the Super Bowl that both played in, Hurts was the leading rusher while still having an amazing stat line through the air. So um, that kind of is untrue. We found ways to make it deep into the playoffs without the services of Saquon Barkley. Um, while Saquon is a hell of a talent, he's never been able to carry the Giants to a Super Bowl or anything close to it. So when we consider or when we talk about who's carrying who, it's kind of hard to say either way that that's the case. So, yeah, what happened in those Super Bowls? I mean, we lost, but it wasn't because we didn't have Saquon. Saquon wouldn't have done anything in the 22 Super Bowl to help us win that one. I mean, that came down to the end of the game. I think we lost that game by 3. And it really just came down to, a ticky-tack call at the end that if we didn't get a pass interference to go against us, we probably have a chance to win that game. So, I don't think having Saquon would have changed the outcome of the 2022 Super Bowl. Yeah, Saquon didn't lead the Giants to the bowl, but they were terrible. I mean, even in the year that they weren't terrible, a running back by himself can't lead a team to a Super Bowl, let alone a deep playoff run. If that was the case, Jonathan Taylor would have already led the Colts far. But you need a competent quarterback to pair with a running back, because if you just have an amazing running back, if you just have all the pieces and have um a mediocre to bad quarterback, you won't go anywhere because all the defense has to do is load the box. And now the running back is negated, and that forces a bad quarterback to not be able to do anything. So that's not the case here in Philly. If you load the box in Philly, we got the weapons outside, and Hurts can just throw it over your head. So we got options. We still in a good place. There's no need to sound the alarms. There's no need to fire anybody. Does it need to be some tweaks? Yeah, it does. It does need to be some tweaks. Let's see. We're 7-2 when JT has a touchdown. He has led us to greatness. Just the Colts suck and we have poor. But the reason JT is a great player. I'm not refuting that, but I'm saying the reason why the Colts and JT have seen the type of success that they've seen this season was the addition of Daniel Jones. He provided that threat with his legs to open up the run lanes. And then when teams were able to load the box, Daniel Jones was able to make the necessary throws on those important third downs or those important passing downs that, got you to win. It takes a good quarterback and a good running back for a competent offense to function. Sugar Shane Steichen is amazing at play calling, but he can't do anything with that roster without a quarterback, and nobody can. Like you need a good quarterback to win football games. And now that y'all don't have that, unfortunately, you're going to see what you've been seeing, a steady decline. Um, if we Man, I miss Sugar Shane Steichen. If we would have had Shane this year, we could have been we could be something special, like record breaking type of special. But it is what it is. Shane ain't going nowhere anytime soon in Indianapolis. So y'all take care of him and he'll take care of you. Y'all just need to get a quarterback. Unfortunately, y'all won too many games already. So you'll probably be drafting in the middle of the pack. I don't think you'll be able to get a top 10, even if you lose out these next 4 games. That's just gonna put you like top 10, mid 50, in the middle round, basically. You're gonna be drafting at the middle of the round. Um, and I think y'all gave up a lot for Sauce Gardner, so I think y'all probably gonna have to swing for the fence. I don't know. That's gonna be interesting to see what the Colts do. So y'all got Phillip Rivers, old man Rivers. I don't suspect that to do a damn thing. He's been on the bench eating bonbons. But let's see. He said we don't have a first, and next year's first. Damn. Yeah, y'all gave up a lot for Sauce. So I'm interested to see what y'all do with Daniel Jones. Do you bring him back on a team friendly deal, considering his past and considering the type of injury that he has? Or do you swing for the fences and go out here and try to get a quarterback that'll help you win now in the offseason? So um, that remains to be seen. It'll be interesting to see what y'all do in the offseason. But as far as this Chargers game, we got to flush that. Yep, we got to flush it. That game is over. No matter how much it stings, no matter how much we're tired of a 3-game losing streak, we got to turn the page a little bit. It's on to the next. You think y'all have poor coaching? I missed that last part. I haven't really paid attention to a lot of Colts games, but where would you say y'all are lacking in the coaching department? But yeah, it's time to flush this game. But before we move on to the Raiders, um, we got to hear a word from our sponsor. Introducing Black Diamond Concentrate from Diamond Collection, a premium mineral supplement crafted to elevate your hydration experience. Formulated with no dyes, sweeteners, or artificial flavors, Black Diamond Concentrate is 100% natural. Just 2 dropfuls added to a 16.9 ounce bottle of water can transform the way you hydrate. Order today at poweredbytmb.com and use code DSP at checkout to receive a 20% discount. That's code DSP. All right, let's get back to the show. Welcome back to the Down South Philly Show, brought to you by Sports Lounge Media. Let's see. Bagel said, yes, poor coaching. We pass on 3rd and 1. We run on 2nd and 15. So are you are y'all done with Sugar Shane Steichen? The Sugar Shane Steichen experience? Is that what you're telling me? Or are you saying the coaches around him aren't competent? Because we'll take them back if y'all don't want them. We'll take them right now. So we got to get into the Raiders and the Eagles. So um, this is hopefully exactly what the doctor ordered for our ailing offense. Raiders just aren't a very good football team. But as you know, it's any given Sunday at the end of the day, and you could lose any game that you suit up. Um, Gino hasn't had a great year at all, and that's an understatement. Um, Ashton Genty hasn't been what he was proclaimed to be. Now we can't blame that on Ashton Genty. The team is bad, so it's kind of hard for a running back to have a good season when the offense and the team and the offense is bad. As a matter of fact, I don't think there's a strong possibility that Geno Smith doesn't even play in this game. We might see Kenny Pickett in this game. I think the one bright spot that you can kind of hang your hat on as a Raiders fan offensively uh, is Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers has become one of the best tight ends in the league in a very short time. Uh, he's killing it in fantasy. Um, he has the ability to take over games. It's just his team is just not good. So it really is not even mattering. But if the Raiders do get better, the world will start to appreciate Brock Bowers like us in fantasy world appreciate him. Let's see. Bagel says we're done with Ballard for sure. I don't like Shane's play calling, but also the coaching market is thin. So here's what I think about Shane doesn't have his guy at quarterback. So it's kind of hard to evaluate Shane Steichen under the current um roster because he doesn't have his guy. Now he thought that he had his guy in Richardson. But obviously, we see how that's turned out, whether that's him not being able to be healthy or just not being all that good. I think if Shane was able to pick his guy, uh, and is a pretty decent talent, I think you would be able to see what Shane Steichen is truly capable of. So, but like I said, if y'all want to get rid of him, we're happy to take him off your hands. Don't think that y'all will get rid of him, but damn, that would be nice for him to come back next year. Um, I think Geno Smith probably will miss this game. Now, when we talk about defense, um, the one bright spot on defense for the Raiders is Mad Max. Mad Max is a beast. As a matter of fact, we were banging the table all off season and well into the last day of the trade deadline to make a move for Max Crosby. But you just don't get rid of players like that. He's one of those generational talents that while he may not be the fastest, he may not be the strongest, his motor is unmatched. And you can't have enough of those guys on your team, which is why it's so hard to get him out of Las Vegas. Understandably, he's one of the pieces that you can build around. I think that he can potentially wreck this game just because what have I been talking about all year? Our offensive line has struggled, to say the least. So we're already down Lane Johnson. We got Landon Dickerson in and out of the lineup. Now he did go out for a little bit and came back in to finish the game. Cam Jurgens has been hurt all year, and then when he hasn't been hurt, he hasn't been great. Um, Mailata has been beat a couple of times. Like I said, this has been a collectively bad offense for the better part of all year, and we just I can't even say it's finally coming to fruition because we've been seeing a form of this offense all year long be bad. It just ever since we've come off the bye week, it's been exponentially worse, believe it or not. But I'm still optimistic. Our schedule, the last 4 games, is pretty easy. Hardest game on the schedule by far will be the Bills in Buffalo at Highmark Stadium. That's gonna be a huge game. Um, we gonna have to run the ball in that game, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about the Raiders. So, what are the keys to victory here? The keys to victory would be to implement the running game. We seem to have found something on the ground against the Chargers. Um, we need to implement some more QB runs, um, some some RPO action, um, some end arounds. I think all of that will help the run, not only help the run game, but open up the passing game as well. So we definitely need to run the ball more with Hurts to open up lanes for Saquon. Um, Offensive line. Uh, I don't even know if you can get healthy at this point. I think it just pretty much is what it is. We're just gonna have to win in spite of a mediocre offensive line. That's what we have this year. We have a mediocre offensive line with mediocre play calling. So, um, with that being said, that our keys to victory would be implementing the run game. Um, taking our shots when they make sense down the field. We've seemed to have figured something out with getting AJ the ball. Go figure. Getting our best offensive weapon the ball or second best offensive weapon the ball isn't a bad idea. So continue to feed AJ. Um, I really we've been kind of distributing the ball to 2 players for the most part. So AJ has been having a really good stretch, 3 games in a row now. Smitty just makes big catch after big catch after big catch. Jahan Dotson is always there when you need him. Goddard has had an unbelievable season. Saquon has had now 2 good games this season. 2 games that you can kinda hang your hat on and say, "That's what we saw last year." We've had 2 of those games out of the, what, 12, 13 games that we've played. Um, so you can do with that what you will. Vegas says, "I wanna play Rivers in fantasy, but he's not there." They gotta take him off the retirement list so you can start him in fantasy. But I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't even do that, Bagel. It's too soon. We don't have any idea what Phillip Rivers is gonna look like. Um, I know he probably is gonna say that he been throwing balls in the backyard, yada yada yada, but I really don't have no hope that Rivers is gonna be anything down the stretch. Now you got 4 games. I think y'all have 8 wins, right? I believe y'all got 8 wins. Um, I think the bad or the worst part of the skid that y'all are having is the fact that the Texans seem to have figured out something, uh, and Jacksonville. So you let the division kinda catch up. You had a nice lead on the division. They were losing games early, well, they not losing games no more. So it's gonna come down to down the stretch, these last 4 games for everybody, but especially for divisions like the AFC South. Um, it's a 2-team race now. I think y'all out of that race with the loss of Daniel Jones. Um, so we talked about the keys to victory for the Raiders. I usually ask Dom for an impact player, so I guess I'll go ahead and say, oh, impact player on offense. I'm gonna have to go Hurts because he had such a bad game. Um, I think he responds against a bad team. This will finally be the game where we can kind of exercise our offensive demons, if you will. I think this game and then going into the Commanders game against 2 bad defenses is an excellent time for us to figure out what we need to figure out before the playoffs, which is around the corner. We got a month of the regular season left to go, and we need all 4 games. It won't be no resting in week 17. Um, we need to go ahead and figure this thing out in 4 weeks and be playing our best ball going into the playoffs. So on offense, like I said, Hurts is my impact player. On defense, let's go. This feels like another Jordan Davis game. Now he was a monster this last game. Um, I just love the fact that we were able to find our pass rush, even without Jalen Carter. So what that tells me is that we should be able to rest Jalen Carter for the next month. Go ahead and put him on ice. Let those shoulders heal up as best they can, and we'll see you in the playoffs, big fella. Go ahead and rest up a little bit. Uh, I'm anxious to see what he looks like with some rest. So defensive line, I think we're deep enough. We're deep enough to carry the load down the stretch. I think our biggest game in this stretch is going to be the Bills game, which I'm fully prepared to lose if necessary, if we can take care of the other 3 games. Obviously, you can't guarantee that, but we have to win the Vegas game. We got to win both Washington games to have a chance to go where we want to go. And then, if we do happen to catch the Bills slipping, because they need to win too. Like this, it's a must win for the league. The league wide open. I don't see anybody. The only teams that could potentially be resting in week 17 Um, and I don't think nobody has the luxury because even though the Patriots and Denver are 11-2, they're both in the same conference. So with them having the same record, they're gonna have to continue to win until the last game of the season. So it's gonna come down to that. I appreciate the fact that we've been seeing a lot of good football. Um, I would say the best game that I saw this past week was the Packers and the Bears game. It was a great game. Last night's game was actually pretty good, considering, I mean, my team lost, but I'm a football fan first, and I enjoyed um, a game that went down to the wire. We had overtime. Both teams had a chance to score. It came down to, the final. Really, it came down to the final drive of the game. So, as a football fan, we got to see, a good game last night. It just didn't turn out how I wanted it to, but hey, good game nonetheless. Tough loss, flushing that. Already talked about our impact players. I already talked about our keys to victory. I am expecting to win. I feel pretty confident in the win, but I felt confident the past 3 weeks. So that just goes to show you that that really doesn't mean anything when it comes to if the team is going to win or not. It's up to them. But I feel like they can do it. Make sure you drop your predictions in the comments. Who you think is going to win? Do you think that the Cowboys are going to catch the Eagles? That's a possibility. We haven't talked about that at all. So the Cowboys are 6-1. The Eagles are 8-5 right now. So they're right on our tail. We basically have to, like I said, we got to win at least 3 of our next 4 games in order to close the door on Dallas. Or they can just decide to lose. If they lose, they got a cupcake schedule down the stretch. So I really don't see them. They could potentially run the table, win out with these 4 games. So if they do that, we definitely need to. If we can't win out, we definitely need to go at least 3-1. Um, in the NFC picture. So we have the Rams, who are at the top of the conference. Then we have the Bears, who no, the Bears got knocked down to the 7th seed because they lost to the Packers. So it's the Lions. It's the Rams, the Packers, the Eagles, and momentarily speaking, the Bucks are holding on to the NFC South by a thread. But the Panthers are right on their tail, just like the Cowboys are on our tail. Speaking of which, we got a big matchup coming up on Primetime Sports this Thursday. Well, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Atlanta Falcons on Primetime Sports. That's right, Thursday night football. That's the next time you'll be able to catch me. We're gonna have live play-by-play going on. It'll be a load off to cover a game that the Eagles aren't involved in. I need some time. I need to Sunday to get over this fully, but we're gonna flush it for now. You're gonna catch us again on Primetime Sports this Thursday. That's the Bucks versus the Falcons, with huge playoff implications for the Bucks. They want to keep a strong hold on the NFC South. Um, but that's all I have for this episode. Make sure you catch us this Thursday on Primetime Sports. We have an amazing episode of Sports Lounge Media Show coming out tomorrow at 9 p.m. Well, 9 p.m. Eastern. It's 9 p.m. Eastern. We're going to have that show come on where we recap week 14, preview weeks 15, and give our weekly ranking. So without further ado, that's all I have for this episode. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure you sharing this live out. Go ahead and drop a few comments in the chat. I will respond when I see it. But as always, subscribe to the channel. But we'll see y'all on Thursday on Primetime Sports. But until then, go Birds. Peace.